What's up, people? This is episode 69 with the gentleman, I use that term loosely, from the U.S. Open. John Demmer, Marcus Cooley, Chris Garcia. This is good stuff. It was a great episode. Couple of quick announcements. Maybe not so quick. One, seminar, Phoenix, Arizona, coming this spring. Check out barrelproject.com for that. December, another seminar coming, Texas Archery, Scott Booth down there in Texas. Both are expected to be filled quickly with the very large JOAD programs. So between coaches and parents, if you plan to take a seminar, you should probably consider signing up quickly. I'm also doing a abbreviated online version, the stuff that's online friendly, but like there's a lot like the shooting drills and stuff. It really needs to be in person, but I'm doing an abbreviated, like an 8-hour, two days, 4 hours a piece in November. Check that out. Sign up for it there. But yeah, anyway, that's it. Shout out to First Flight Archery. Wearing the gear today. All right. I'll see you guys later. Have a wonderful start of hunting season for everybody out there.
I think then anybody I can put a name to promote our sport.
The archer who owns all the world records, John Demmer III.
You know, the more difficult a thing is, the more important the mental game becomes.
I didn't eat any supper yet either. How about you guys? Did you guys eat yet?
I didn't eat
Oh,
it.
you know,
Got some crunch berries.
Grayson Parlow.
It's like me taking 3 or 4 years off your eyes just because I weakened that prescription in the shooting eye.
And don't put everything into my shot that I should, that I get a lot of drop on those heavy arrows. He's dropping all the way down. He said, well, you might want to think about going to a lighter arrow and string walking. And then that's what got that started. So.
What the hell is that supposed to be? What the hell is that supposed to be?
That beautiful mouse. A mouse.
That's a mouse? That's a mouse?
Yeah. Oh, heck yeah. That's going to catch me a nice brown trout.
Let's put that thing back up there so all the people, so we're live right now, so they can all see that. Is that a JD3 handmade mouse?
Yes.
Is that what that is?
Yes.
There's no nose tape on it. It's not his.
There's no nose tape on it. It can't be his. That's funny. Well, I'm going to let this live feed build up a little bit, but we are live on YouTube, everyone. I'm going to also click this link and I'm going to go share it on Facebook while we're BSing here.
Are we waiting? How many members are we waiting for before we start? Because I want to know how much time we have to wait.
We're going to wait till 2.
2.
Because it's YouTube and we don't have as many followers on YouTube. I don't know. We'll see. It might surprise us. Here, wait, let me quick switch screens and see what we got. There's 2 watching right now within the first minute. Amazing.
Woo!
I know.
2 people.
We're moving up in the world, boys.
Just like us.
We got special followers on Instagram. We're moving up in the world. I'm going to share this live feed to the Facebook group. Demmer, we got it. We're going to move swiftly with this one, everyone. Demmer's got fishing to do tonight. We don't want to interrupt all his priorities on his birthday. How old are you today? Like,
Yeah, happy birthday, buddy.
48, I think. Is that right behind Niaka?
17.
Yeah.
That was gonna be my guess.
Yeah. Acts like he's 17. That's
17.
That's about right. Hold on a second.
I'm going to have very shifty eyes, by the way. So I'm in a parking lot. I'm going to make sure nobody's going to murder me.
For the record,
Everybody's
this
looking
is
at you going, is that guy gonna murder me?
second podcast that Demmer has recorded in a Walmart parking lot. Well, he's not in a
Seems
Walmart.
to work out.
Both
Yeah.
of them were just got done fishing, and then this one's I got done fishing, and I'm going right back to fishing.
You have some issues, buddy. You got issues. So besides it being John's birthday, happy birthday, John. It is unfortunately the anniversary of 9/11. So and we talked about this a little bit before, guys. Marcus, where were you at on 9/11/2001?
I know it was just a normal day for us at the house. I'm out here in Henderson, Nevada, and I remember the whole house. My sister-in-law was living with us at the time, and the house is just getting ready. Like, we're getting ready to go to work, kids are getting ready to go to school, and my sister-in-law came out and was like, "You guys need to turn on the TV." And we're like, "What? Like, why? Like, we don't watch TV in the morning."
Yeah.
And that was the eye opener. I mean, fresh out, because obviously we're West Coast, so a little bit time difference, and it was that was a hell of a day.
Yeah, it was. Sure. I guess it would have been kind of early morning for you guys. JD3, how about you? What were you doing on 9/11?
Yeah.
I had a day off of work.
I don't want to make jokes about it, but aren't you off every day?
No. I worked today.
You're working on
put
fishing?
In 3/4 of a day today. I put in 3/4 of a day today so I can fish in the afternoon.
Well, that's
but
good.
No, I just had the day off. I just had the day off. Woke up a little bit later because the wife and I were going to do something, and
yeah,
that happened. So
yeah, it's weird how everybody gets notified or sees parts of it their own way. And Chris, how about yourself, my man?
Yeah, I was still asleep pretty much when it happened, and then woke up and walked past the TV and thought it was some movie on there, and realized it was real life. And yeah, that pretty much right there.
Yeah, it was very surreal for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It was a weird time for myself, just because that was the year that my dad had died like a few days before that. So his funeral was the next day. It was 9/12. And so it was already surreal, like, life, but sitting at the firehouse watching, I think the first one hit, my mom called and was like, "You need to turn the TV on," kind of like what happened to you, Marcus. Like, you need to turn the TV on. You need to see this. And then I immediately went to the firehouse, and just like one by one, like, nobody called anybody, just guys started showing up at the firehouse, and we lowered the flag to half staff right after the first one collapsed. And just remember sitting there watching on TV just in disbelief. So for those of you who are affected by it in a more direct way, and everybody in the country, emergency responders across the board, just a shout out, and some prayers, and some just sending some love everyone's way from us. I know it's out of characteristic for our normal conversation, but it's hard to record a live podcast on this day. I mean, I have my Class A uniform over my shoulder, and it's one of those things that's always with me. So it's, regardless of what it means to everybody, it means something to me, and it's going to get mentioned on this podcast. But with that being said, we're done with the serious stuff. Now it's time to get to the fun stuff. Gentlemen, you are our top 3 from the 2022 U.S. Open here in Pennsylvania. Congratulations. I guess we already know about JD3 and all of his stuff, but we'll get into the matches sooner or later. Guys, give us the details. I mean, we kind of talked about it, but who you are, where you're from, who you shoot, who you're shooting for, the people who take care of you and sponsor you, and all that good stuff. And we'll get into kind of like how you guys prepared for this event and what brought you to PA. Chris, let's start with you, since you are our gold medal winner. Give us the details, my guy.
Yeah, name's Chris Garcia. I live California, Central Coast, in Los Osos, and I shoot for Central Coast Archery. These guys here, it's a local shop. They got me pretty much hooked up on everything. I shoot a Hoyt. They got me that through a dealer staff shooter program, and the Easton rep got me with Easton. So those are kind of the 2 biggies there, or 3 biggies really. should I just run down my bow or?
Yeah, go ahead. Run down your equipment for everybody. Yeah, absolutely.
I shoot a Hoyt Exceed, long Velos lens at 46 pounds. I shoot a AE Rest, Free Flight Elite, and a biter plunger. And I shoot a Fairweather Barebow tab.
Gotcha.
I think
Excellent.
that's Easton Pro Comp.
Okay, the pro comps.
What's fine?
660s.
You hear that, everybody? 660s. How many pounds are you shooting again?
46.
Wow.
46.
Ooh.
This
Well-
is interesting though, John, just because of the conversation we had at nationals, you know,
Yeah,
about
well,
different people's different spines and stuff like that. Like
I think
poundage.
it's just the X10 crap because when my pro comps tuned great at 710s.
Yeah.
And shooting 42, 43 pounds.
Right.
I got mine cut pretty short. I mean, I think they're right at or just under 28 inches throat to carbon. And I'm shooting, 130 grain points in them. So that could be stiffening them up slightly. And yeah. Just after tuning, that's what worked for me.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what you got to go with for sure. It does definitely change from shooter to shooter. Wanted to ask you, what's your approximate draw length, Chris?
Oh man, I don't think I've ever really measured it on a recurve.
Yeah,
Compound,
ballpark.
I'm like 27 3/4.
Okay.
I bet with recurve, I'm probably right around 28 1/8. I'm probably just over 28.
Yeah, I imagine your arrows probably cut back pretty far then too, close to the riser.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean,
This is kind of the shortest
660,
arrow I've shot barebow. So
yeah, the 660, the higher poundage, the shorter arrow, shorter draw length, it all definitely makes sense. So, all right, man, we'll come back to you to talk about your preparation for this tournament. Marcus, let's run down your equipment. You got to give Calvin a shout out, so let's go.
You know, Calvin's the man. Come on, him and Dwayne. Yeah, I do shoot the CD.
Absolutely.
I the first time I shot it, I loved it. I have access to a bunch of different bows, and because I do work at a shop here in Vegas. It's Aces and Arrows. Demmer's been out here. He knows the shop. It's the shop that's come out here for the Vegas tournament for sure. But yeah, the CD riser shooting to 25, just for me, it fits. Like everything about it just rings true for me when I shoot it. So I'm shooting the Velos limbs, 42-pound longs. I've got it dialed in usually somewhere right around 42 pounds on the fingers. Shooting X10s, 550s, cut down quite a bit, shooting, there's 100 grain tips up front. I cut off the maximum off the front of them and even had to start trimming down on the backside. Excess wings, biter knocks on them, shooting the Yost tab. Absolutely love the Yost tab. Yeah, I mean, that's the gist of it.
That's the gist of it.
All
right,
right,
good
around
stuff.
28 inch draw length. So give or take, maybe a 1/16 of an inch, depending upon how strong you're feeling that day,
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. John, I know I said we weren't going to run down your equipment because I think we all know what you were shooting, but why don't you run down the equipment you used for the Open and for that weekend? And it's up to you. Do you want to talk about a little bit about how you're feeling about the XD at the moment? Just a quick comparison between the Epic and the XD, just the riser.
Yeah, sure. I shot the 25 Epic. It's Hoyt's old ILF bow, riser. Shot the Velos, 38-pound Velos limbs. Got it cranked up to about 42 on the fingers. Shot the Nano Pro Extreme 700 with 120 grain points up front. Arrow overall length was about pushing 30 inches from nock to end of the point. Yeah, Yost tab, sniper drop away rest. Fighter Knox, Jager grip, BCY strings, and a lot of Santo Armano love. He just owes me $5 now.
I know you've had a chance here in the last.
Santo, that's $10.
Oh, geez. Santo's paying people off.
Inside joke. Yeah.
Well, hopefully it's has something to do with making up for that horrible picture that Paul Helms posted on your Facebook page and wish you happy birthday. Anyway,
But,
yeah,
shooting that right now for a little bit, testing it with the Velo Slims. So far, like it pretty good. I think I like it a little bit more than the XI, which is what I shot the previous year, I believe. Yeah. So
yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, good stuff. All right. So let's get into kind of preparation. There's my dog. Thanks, Chloe. Go lay down. She's my partner. She's like a 14-year-old, has no idea what's going on in Labrador. She just walks through the house. Anyway, so let's get into preparation. John, I know, see that now she's asking to go out. You see this? Okay. Go. Don't come back. Guaranteed she comes through that door.
She's just making sure you're safe.
Yeah, I know. So preparation wise, John, I know you didn't shoot much this year. As far as competitions go, what did you do? So if you're somebody, because there's probably a lot of people out there that have a similar situation where they don't have access to competitions, they're not going to travel all over the country. What did your typical preparation look like? You don't have to go crazy detail. Just give us the general gist of what were you doing to get ready at this point, for this year? Because I know it wasn't quite the volume that you normally put in.
Yeah, performance was on a little for sure, and I'll blame that on just lack of tournament shooting, even just small shoots at like your shop or Lancaster or Pendel. Typically I do shoot a couple of those, so equipment wasn't really 50-meter tested. Like some of the finer details, I found out during the shoot that just weren't quite right yet. The only things I ever shot this summer, I think I shot NFAA target or field nationals.
An ETAR. An ETAR.
And shot at ETAR. But yeah, so for the most part, it was just practice in the backyard. Started out basically a month ahead, light practice for the first week, and then ramped it up pretty hard for 2 weeks. Just getting volume in, not worrying about score, and then shot for score like the last week and a half prior to, maybe 2 weeks prior to. So I would say the first week back, I shot twice a week, 3 times a week, but only like 30 arrows a day. Then it ramped up pretty quick to the point where it was like maybe 150 arrows a day for a few weeks, shooting like ends of like 12 and 18 just to build up the strength. It's not the way to do it if you want to be at the peak of your game, but it's a way to do it to get you into the game. Just because the first 3 weeks or so you're just building up strength. You're not actually developing your form or fine-tuning your form yet. But once you get your strength up, then your form starts coming into play. So it's one of those where the first 2-3 weeks I don't even bother tuning, just shoot an arrow that shoots halfway decent, so you're not getting contact and ripping veins and whatnot. But then once you get the strength up, then you can start working on your tuning and your form. So yeah, it's one way to do it to get you in the game. It's not the way to get you in the peak performance of the game. I would have started like a month, maybe 2 months earlier than what I did. But
shot more tournaments. That would have made a difference.
Yeah, I had other stuff going on that I wanted to do. So
yeah, you're at that point in your career. You do what you want when you want. It's no big deal. Yeah, man, that's all right though. But I think it gives other people an idea that tournament callus still has an effect even on the guys that have more experience than most. And year after year, it still has an effect. You can shoot all the tournaments in the world, but just having that little bit of extra time on the line with the clock running and people around you on a tournament line still has a positive effect when you are preparing for something like the Open and National, stuff like that. So
yeah, because like stuff in the backyard, you can never shoot the same nerves that you shoot at a shoot.
Yeah.
So whatever you have tuned at the house or shop or whatever, you can have it tuned perfect. You could be tuned perfect, but the moment you get a little bit of pressure, that tune is no longer perfectly tuned. Now you have to readjust something to fit that little bit of extra nerves, that little bit of lost feeling, because you are nervous, because the arrows mean a little bit more. No matter how much we try to minimize the worth of each arrow at a tournament, it's still worth something. So you're still going to be a little bit different, and that's stuff that you easily see in the shoot downs. Anything that's videoed and whatnot, you can see. No matter how much we want to say that arrow doesn't mean anything, just shoot or shot, it still means something, and it still affects us a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Marcus, I think let's talk about your season, because dude, you put on some miles this year. You were all over the place. USAT events, field. You did a little bit of everything. You didn't do 3D World Trials though, did you? You didn't do that.
3D is one of those games that the wife and I we talk about getting into 3D. People tell us, hey, you guys need to try this, and man, we go from shooting indoor to, as soon as Vegas is over, because we usually shoot like Chula Vista for indoor nationals, so we're on the front end of indoor nationals. As soon as Vegas is over, our minds switch to outdoor, and we start going out and shooting outdoor. We live in the desert, dude. If it's 50, 60 degrees outside, man, we're out there shooting.
Yeah.
And then we're prepping that and prepping for field, always kind of playing with both until whatever first tournament pops up, because stuff happens. But the fact that they opened up the USATs this year for Barebow was amazing. We got to go shoot Arizona Cup. I think that's the first time I actually officially met Chris, was at Arizona Cup, and he was on fire that week. And it was a pretty good showing for me. I think I took fourth in that one. Then we did field nationals up in Yankton, and didn't perform the way I should have there, but came right back and met up with Chris again over at SoCal, and was able to pull that one out on my own. So, and then just a couple of like little virtuals that we host here with the club, and then it was on the nationals. So that's pretty much the outdoor season for me.
Yeah.
Well, almost. It's almost over. I got one more to do.
What's your home training look like though? I mean, how often are you shooting in between? Because like I said, you shot a couple of USATs. You were in you shot SoCal, right? You shoot that?
Yeah. I ended up winning SoCal this year. So
yeah. So you got
for me, usually my shot schedule, it really depends on focus and what's going on with work. When COVID hit a couple of years, or prior to COVID hitting, my schedule was not my own. I was gone a lot. I was on even when I was in town, I was working so much that I wasn't around. I wasn't able to shoot very often. So my training then was really sporadic. When I started working here at the shop, I thought, well, now I get to shoot all the time. And Frank, I'm sure once you start working at a shop or owning a shop, it's like, seriously, how often do you get to shoot? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's a whole other podcast. We'll have that.
I know, but I'm saying, so
you're
I end up like coaching 7 days a week now. Yeah. And so when Amy makes it a priority for us to go out and shoot, that's when I get to go shoot.
Nice.
And usually it's like leading up to nationals. Let's say at most I was shooting maybe 3 days a week, and those days we're going out for like maybe 2 hours, you know, maybe getting in 60, 70, 80 arrows, something like that. And then right back into normal routine. And then hopefully I get another shot in between that. But that's it. Maybe 2-3 days at the most.
Good. That it's 2-3 days is a good amount for someone who's doing it. And I will tell you, I've dialed back on a lot intentionally, because my first year that I really got competitive, I shot 4 or 5 days a week, and that was on top of coaching, and that is really loud. I'm muting it. See, I just muted him. You can unmute yourself then, John. And it actually stresses you out when you have to coach that much, and you're working with so many people, and then the shop duties, you know, people need their stuff. You got to get it to them.
Yep.
And then you're like, man, I really want to go shoot, but you're like, I really need to do. It's kind of like being at home when you know you got stuff to do at home and shoot, and you're like, I really should go work on this, but I really want to go practice, or I need to go practice. You know what I mean? But yeah, but dude, I completely get it. And I don't know if I realized you worked at the shop. And I knew
it's only been about
I didn't know
last
you
year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I pretty much, that's all I do is coach.
Yeah.
You know, I stay busy with enough clientele that when I'm in here, I'm booked, you know, for an 8-hour shift, I'll do 7 or 8 lessons a day. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
And then on my off days, I coach outdoors. So, you know, people that want to learn how to go shoot 50 meters, I'm up in the mountain and whatever, teaching them
awesome.
whatever they got to do.
So happy to hear that there's other shops out there that are doing that well. And I was talking to Scott Booth down in Texas Archery today. I was talking to Nate Wallace. I guess it's Archery World up there in the Pacific Northwest. Like, and they're just Joe Kashirk I was talking to today too, and from down in Texas.
Yeah.
He was like, you know, there's these places, there's keep producing Barebow archers like crazy. And it's awesome. So anyways, thanks, man. Chris, Mr. Garcia, tell us about your kind of your prep going into the Open.
Prep was more of a kind of cleaning up disaster is really what it ended up being. After I shot 3D Nationals up in Reading, things started to fall apart for me shot wise, and it kind of followed through into SoCal Showdown, and so after that I really kind of dedicated some time to try and sort it out and clean it out. You know, I shoot daily, so it's not a lot, but I usually shoot 70 to 150 arrows at an indoor range daily.
That's quite a bit.
Yeah, it's I wish I could shoot more. If it was up to me, I'd be shooting 200-300 arrows a day and 500 on the weekend. So it's just not enough hours in the day.
No.
But yeah, that was, you know, just trying to clean my shot up, get it back to where, you know, I can be confident in it and shoot decent enough. And yeah, it was just a lot of that, a lot of, you know, form check and mental check and just everything.
I'm curious. So you said you were having some issues. That's a heck of a turnaround, my guy. So you were having issues in the beginning of the outdoor season. What did you do to combat that and get that confidence back so that those issues were no longer, I would say, prevalent always? You know, you kind of suppress them, you get rid of them. It's hard to get rid of every issue 100% all the time, but you know, can you kind of run us through how you did that?
Yeah, you kind of I mean, my first step is always diagnose what's actually going wrong, whether I'm, you know, coming off my fingers wrong, I'm, you know, posture's off, or, you know, even all the way down to balance on my feet. You know, it's just kind of breaking it down, figuring out where the problems are. And then from there, you gotta, I don't know, I kind of work back from there, because usually it all stems from one issue. one issue kind of snowballs and chain reaction, and then everything kind of falls apart. So that was kind of the first thing, was just diagnosing what my issues were, and then yeah, just basically restructuring my shot from the ground up. It was, even in the finals match, you saw it as, throwing the bow arm or bow hand, actually wasn't so much the arm, um, all the way to, getting my release arm, my elbow, getting completely behind, things like that. But all of that, also kind of a little bit of my sight picture. That's once your sight picture starts moving everywhere, then your mental state just kind of goes into panic, and yeah, and then you just start letting things fly and hope for the best. But it did. It ended up stemming from balance on my feet. I was leaning too far back on my feet, which wrecked my posture, which wrecked my whole alignment, which threw everything out of whack.
Mm-hmm.
So it was basically working from the ground up to kind of get that all back going, and then to kind of restructure my mental state to build some confidence in that shot. Is Yeah, it was a lot of work and a lot of frustration.
No, I'm glad you brought
Yeah,
that
it
up,
takes a
man.
while to get that back. The
Yeah.
confidence, it takes a while.
Yeah. And it still wasn't. I mean, that's what you saw breaking down. When I got into pressure situations at nationals, you saw bad habits coming back in, and that's just the confidence going a little bit, breaking a little bit, and allowing bad habits to creep back in.
Sure. No, I'm really glad you brought that up. And like John said, it's hard to rebuild that confidence when you've lost it in, say, a big way, and that you struggle. And then I will say, though, that the tournament format of nationals and the Open is good for people who've gone through that, or people who are, like, I don't want to call them like late developers, but you shoot so many arrows throughout those few days. It's such good practice. The 2 qualifying rounds, if you're lucky enough to shoot the team rounds and the mixed rounds, and that all helps you. So once you get to the Open, it's like you just had 3 days of practice. You know what I mean? Sometimes that's not even enough, but it's still, if you really had 3 solid days to test and hone in all of that hard work that you did all season long from that first, call it, performance or whatever, so that's good stuff. All right. I didn't realize that. I didn't know that was part of your journey this year. I think it's awesome. So shout out to you for that. JD3.
Oh yeah, it got pretty rough.
Yeah. Well, you pulled through, man. That's all that matters. I assume, are you going to come to Lancaster in January?
I don't know. It's going to be a trade-off between Lancaster and Vegas, and I really like going to Vegas. So
I gotcha.
Yeah, we'll see. I haven't made the decision yet, but yeah.
You're probably going to shoot Vegas.
Probably.
Just because there might be things coming around. So
I'm hearing those rumors.
You're probably
too.
You're going to be shooting Vegas.
Yeah. I wasn't. That's a whole other show too. But anyways, we know Marcus is shooting Vegas. Marcus, you gonna make the trip to Lancaster this year?
It's always the goal. Since Amy and I went the first time, we went 2 years in a row. We absolutely love that shoot. The problem is it's for us, usually the way the schedule works out is, Lancaster, and then the following weekend we go to Chula Vista and shoot indoor nationals, and then the following weekend is Vegas. In addition, at Vegas we shoot our state indoor championship.
Okay.
So we shoot like 4 major tournaments in 3 weeks. So basically all of indoor happens in a 3-week time span for us. And now that they've moved Lancaster closer to Vegas, it's always a crapshoot as to whether or not we can, if it fits in the schedule, if it fits in the budget, all that jazz, you know what I mean?
Yeah, those life responsibilities really get in the way of this fun stuff. You know it.
I know.
Well, let's get into some not medal match, but some of your Open matches, your head-to-head discussion. John, I don't know if what you're doing there. If you're ready to jump in.
I got a major headache. I'm trying to find my drink.
Oh, that's terrible. That's horrible. Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
We'll get with you because priorities, right? Like
I was fine until Frank started talking. Now I got a pounding headache.
Yeah. Typical story. Well, what I wanted to do is run through your medal matches, bringing you up to that bronze medal match, who you shot against, how it went. That's all. But
okay,
are you ready to do that? Okay, all right. I just wanted to.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Yeah,
stress you out there.
I'm popping pills, but it's headache medicine.
Yeah. PEDs.
Yeah. Yeah. Test me.
Yeah.
Dang it. A total mess tonight.
You are a hot mess. Look at this guy. I'm getting dizzy watching the video. I'm gonna get so much negative feedback from it. No, I'm just kidding. Nobody cares. We don't.
Oh, it's gonna be horrible. It's the first YouTube live.
Yeah.
But who did I face on? I think my first match. On from Texas, one of Joe's good buddies.
Mm-hmm.
He shot pretty good. He shot a few ends at 26s. He got a point or two off of me. That was a tough match for 1 versus 32. Much harder than it should have been. But I tend to get a lot of people shooting really, really good, like probably the best they shot all weekend. So those are the matches I have to deal with pretty regularly. Kind of used to it.
You deserve it.
Yeah, I was looking back at the scores and On would have knocked you out like 6-0. No, but it was a good match with On. Who did I face? Nolan. I think I faced the second match.
Yeah.
Also, Nolan shot freaking good against me there too. He shot a bunch of 26s. Might have shot a 27 or a 28. He got 2 points
28,
off
23, 28, 24, 27, 26. Yeah. I mean, a couple of three strong ends there.
For a 1 versus 16 or 17 match.
Yeah.
It was pretty strong. I mean, that's the kind of match you'd expect to get you into like the quarter or semifinals or quarterfinals. But that was a pretty good match with Nolan. Nolan unfortunately shot pretty good, but if he shot any other match, it would have had a much more competitive match. But I think he still pulled like 2 or 3 points off of me. Wasn't an easy one.
Nolan gave me fits in SoCal too, so I know he's a strong shooter, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's
scrappy.
He's better than he was. He's better than he was in SoCal too. He just got
he's progressing pretty fast.
Yeah,
there's a lot of shooters.
20 something.
There's a lot of shooters
just got
on the
shooting.
horizon that are doing the exact same thing, and I am super happy about it for sure because it shows how far Barebow has come in the last like 4 years. But anyway, so quarterfinals, you had our buddy, our housemate.
Yeah, Robbie Weston. I think he shot a bunch of 26s that match.
3 in a row.
Pretty good match. Yeah, he was 26s. I wasn't shooting a whole lot better. I think I was shooting 27s.
Yeah, you had 129 and 24.
Tight match.
Yeah. I mean, he took 2 points off you, but it wasn't,
Yeah.
He's right there. He's just a point or two away.
Another one. I shot against On. He shot above average. I shot against Nolan. He shot above his average. I shot against Robbie. He shot above his average. Then I shot against that. That'll be nice. I shot against Chris.
Yeah.
That guy.
And Chris shot up. I shot a bunch of 26s, maybe a 27. I closed it out with a 30 to tie, and Chris was just pounding like 27s. I think maybe a 28 here and there. Tight match. We went to 1 arrow shoot off, and I was just out of the 9, and he was just 9. And that's the way.
Almost in the same place.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, so I guess ultimately, as we know, Chris got the best of you for one arrow. It went to his favor. Then you ended up going against Ricardo,
the ageless wonder.
The ageless wonder. That's not the nickname I have for him, but I'll keep that one to myself.
Oh.
No, I'm just playing. So how'd that match go at Rick? He's if
the inappropriate granddad.
Yeah.
Well, the match started out great.
Yeah, it did.
I busted out a 29. I'm like, yes. And we're like walking down, and Rick's like, hey, you shot the wrong target. I'm like, nice. They told me a number. I heard a different number, and to this day, I don't know if they told me the wrong number and they think they told me the right number, or I just heard what I heard. But shot 3 great arrows, shot a 29. Rick shot 3 good arrows, shot a 28, and he ended up winning that one 2-0. 29 on the wrong target turns into a MMM.
Yeah, that was not the beginning any of us expected. Actually, we were all sitting in a little group. Elton was on my left. Scott was calling arrows for me. I had the live feed going, and we're like, "Oh man, John's hammered." Yeah. And they're like, "Wait, did Rick shoot the wrong target?" And then he came back, and we just saw the look on your face, and we're like, "No, I'm pretty." Judging by the way that he looks right now, it was John that shot the wrong. Like, no way! Oh my gosh, what are they gonna do? And there was like this big drawn out discussion, and then before you know it, you just hammered off, bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, so I don't know. I shot a couple. What did I shoot? A couple 29s, 28s, and close it out with a 30.
27.
I think I have a 26 in there.
Chris, be happy you didn't go against them at that
from that though. Yeah,
I know, right?
Yeah, I mean it was good. It was a it was a 681 pace for against Rick. So that was above my pay grade shooting for the first time all weekend.
It was impressive to watch.
I should have shot the wrong target against Chris. Maybe things would have turned around quicker. I like Chris too much to get pissed off.
It's funny. All right, man. Well, I mean, it is what it is. You medaled again in the Open. Yeah, that gold has eluded you once again this year, but at least it wasn't my fault this time, so I'm good with it.
I got a couple U.S. Open golds.
I know you do. I'm just saying,
head-to-heads are, man, a lot of times they're just a coin flip.
Yeah.
It's tough when you break it down to 3 arrows at a time. You can't stop anybody that gets hot. It doesn't matter if they're a 32 seed or a 16 seed or 4 seed or 8 seed. It doesn't matter. In Barebow, when somebody gets hot, a lot of times, like, you can get hot, just as hot at the same time. And, it doesn't happen, nearly as much as it does in like other classes where, you have more aids and stuff to fall back on and stay more consistent. Like it's crazy. Like you can go down and shoot 999, which is a 27, which is, a 648 pace, which is like fantastic shooting. But if you shoot against someone that throws down a couple 29s, like there ain't nothing you can do. Like for the most part, you're going to lose that one every single time. And it just, you just never know if that wild card's going to happen because we all have it in us. It's just a matter of timing.
Yeah. We've mentioned it many times in the past. No matter what the tournament format is, it's a little bit of a crapshoot, and you, unfortunately, being that guy that everybody honestly wants to beat, everybody has to up their game to shoot against you. So you're getting essentially better than most people are shooting, maybe even throughout the 144 hours of qualification. And it is what it is. It's just it's the name of the game. But That's also why that's the U.S. Open and
I
not the
get their
national championship.
I get their best, and while they're shooting their best, I'm like, turn around, I'm like, where the frick did he come from? Like every match.
Too funny. Oh, congrats once again,
it's
man.
all good fun.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's definitely one
It's
of
all
the
good
more
fun.
fun tournaments of the year. If you have anybody that's listening to this as we go through this podcast, if you haven't made it to this tournament, you got to get to this tournament. It's a good time. And Barebow is literally all but taking over. Just saying. Marcus, you came in.
USA Archery is gonna have to fix some things because we're just. Oh, I was gonna say USA Archery is gonna have to fix some things because Barebow is like overtaking other classes.
You look down that 50-meter line, and there was a lot of Barebows there.
I think we do have to be at least be honest about the fact that there was like some other major competitions going on. I think that probably drew most of the compounds away from that. But yeah, when you look at the sheer number of our 4 divisions combined, and we're starting to eclipse other divisions, we're growing, and at a national tournament like that, that's just amazing numbers. You know what I mean? Like,
the growth.
It's the best one to go to. I think so.
For outdoor stuff.
Outdoor stuff, yeah.
It's the one I won't miss.
Yeah. Marcus, why don't you let's dive into your matches and how things went for you.
The first one wasn't I mean, it's one of those, I'm lucky enough to, I guess, not be John Demmer, because people don't always bring their best against. So I was still warming up in my first match against Aaron Shea, and I was able to easily walk away with a 6-0 on that one, even though I gave probably some opportunities on a couple of arrows out there that didn't cost me too much.
Mm-hmm.
Going into the next round, I ran into a usual suspect for me to run into. Those who haven't shot against Matthew Seaman, you know, he's in the
Spider-Man.
Yeah, he's up there in Reno, in Nevada. So him and we cross paths quite a bit.
Yeah.
He looks forward to our matches just as much as I do, because he's been gunning for me for a while. Like he's trying to take me down when it comes to any of our Nevada state championships, which I'm heading there this coming weekend to go shoot up in his territory. So hopefully I can still fend him off, because I was able to hold him off at nationals. He gave me a run for my money. It went, 7-3. Still, I wasn't shooting fantastic numbers. I was shooting, I'd shoot a 29 and I'd come back in like a 25, and then I'd shoot a 28 and I'd come back with a 22 or something stupid like that. It was just some ground with him, and he took advantage of it a couple of times.
He did.
So,
I'm looking at it. Yeah. I'm looking at it. And shout out to Matthew Seidemann and his mom. They High Desert Archery, I think, is the name. I did a seminar out there.
Right.
Nice people, super supportive of Barebow. But Matt, he shot 21, 20, 26, 28, 23. So he's progressively, he got a little bit better there and just fell a little bit short. He's gonna, sooner or later, it's all gonna fall together for him, and he's gonna make things rough on a lot of people.
He'll bust on some scores. Yeah, no doubt. And you coming out there and showing him stuff, and he actually started. He learned from the same coach I learned from, Chris Hill. He was taking some lessons. Yeah, and he learned quite a bit from him. And Chris he's an amazing recurve coach. I learned a bunch from him, and then once I got to a level where it really became about Barebow specific things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's by then he had already introduced us to my wife and I to John, and he's an amazing resource of information. Sure. And I know Matthew's probably reached out to him too, and obviously the stuff that Barebow Project's putting out, the information's out there now, so there's no reason not to learn it.
Yeah, things have definitely changed, and I think we're seeing I'd like to think that some of the positive changes because of that availability of information. But and you guys have been a part of that too. So, but anyways,
It's
then
not only just the availability, but you guys actually share it. That's the thing.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
it is what it is. But
yeah. Anyway,
coming off of that match, I ran into Jarrett Kellen, my boy that, we've partnered up on the teams matches for the last few years, and we've brought home some medals every now and then. So everybody knows he's a dangerous shooter. Like he goes, he can go hot and cold, and he gave me a couple of scares on that one, because again, I hadn't really fell into a groove yet, really started shooting the numbers that I know I can, or in practice or whatever. So he took it easy on me, and I was able to take a 6-0 against him. So I was surprised, because I was really not doing what I should be doing,
Yeah. You figured it out.
After that. Yeah. After that, Rick said that unfortunately I didn't cut him any slack. He's told me that already. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, because he gave me a run on a couple of them, but I was able to finally get back into the 28s, and I wasn't dropping into the low 20s as much. So it was I was able to hold off against him and knock him out and send him towards John to deal with.
Yeah,
so I was all right with that.
That's funny.
And then of course everybody knows what happened after that. Me and Chris got to go shoot against each other. So
yeah, and you guys put on a good show. You definitely did.
We tried.
Yeah, it was good. It was real good. Mr. Garcia, talk to us. How did your matches go?
Yeah, it started off, I don't know, pretty okay, I guess. Not great. I felt like every match was kind of a battle, and I did just enough at the right time to make it through.
That's every match.
Man, I'm so terrible at names.
That's all right. Well, I'll throw you a bone on the first one. John Cockrell, from Alabama. That's who you went up. Looks like you pulled he's a newbie. Yeah, Big John. He's kind of new to the war. He's been around for like a little over a year, whatever. But I mean, 21, and then 25. So you had a warm up match of sorts against John, but that was your first match. I can see that. I have to pull up the 1/8 round and see where you're at there. I don't know if you remember their names there.
Oh man, I'm so bad with names.
Yeah,
he went against Matthew Reisman. Rising Phoenix.
Yeah. Oh right, yeah, okay.
No.
So, and you took that one.
Yeah, I feel like we kind of traded. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like he pulled one. He pulled 2 points off you. End.
Yeah.
But that's where you started shooting a little bit more consistent, Chris. I mean, they weren't your 28s and 29s, but all your scores were like a 26, a 25, a 25, a 25.
Kind of stabilizing.
You started to gain speed.
Where was that, Chris, against me?
Yeah. All the matches were warm up. Tell you, that's all that was.
Well, I'll tell you, you had one hell of a match going into quarters. Steven Seymour. I don't know if you guys I shot a target next to Steven throughout the 2 days. And even I think we actually shared a bail. That dude's a shooter. He is going to surprise some people in the next couple of years. You took at 7.
What was he?
What's that?
Was he fifth? Was he fifth at target net?
I think
he was on my bail. I was going at after nationals. I was ranked. He was 5th. I was able to catch everybody on my bail for him. I came up really close through a goofy one, and he just kept going. And he's a shooter.
Yeah, I remember that second day he was creeping up, and he came pretty close to passing me too. I'm not sure how close the score actually was, but
he's a shooter
making moves.
He's just very disciplined, and I don't think he has a lot of the head-to-head experience, but as he gets better with that, watch out. He's going to surprise some people. That match was 20. Well, you won 7-3. He shot 25, 26, 27, 25, 22. Just kind of ran out of steam. You shot 27, 26, 23. That was the one you gave up. 27, 26. So you
Mm-hmm.
really did. You're progressively getting better as these matches are going, which worked into your favor.
That's usually how it goes for me. Yeah.
Yeah. But then it
So we
came
got to catch
to,
you early and knock you out.
yeah. he just needs to get the right
You
opponent.
gotta get the first guy. The first
We talk
guy
about
is
it
gonna knock
though.
you out.
This is the head-to-head stuff. It's a little bit of a crapshoot. It all
Got that,
depends on
John?
who you
Totally
face and when. You know what I mean?
John, next year, if he's in fur, he's up there in the top. That means you got to drop to 32 so you can get him early. You got to get him early.
How about we just hope Chris finishes way below?
So, all right, you're at the semifinals and you come up against Demmer. What's going through your head? How did it go in your eyes?
I shooting with Demmer is, it's Demmer. I know he's a hurdle, but it's I don't think of it as trying to beat a person and just trying to shoot the best I can kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, even that match was the same thing. It was just I did enough at the right time to earn points is really what it came down to.
Right.
I mean, I think a lot of those points I won were barely like a point maybe ahead of you. And
They're close.
Yeah, pretty close. Even score wise, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. John shot 27, 24, 26, 24, and then finished with 30. You had 25 to his 27. You got 26, 29. So you got 2 back right in a row. Then you guys tied, and then you took that last one. So that's a tight match. It was a tight match, super entertaining to watch, for sure. And then, you sent him packing to go shoot against Ricardo, and you managed that gold medal match. And so you two faced each other previously. Was it in the gold medal match for AZ Cup? Was that you or was that Yaka?
No, it was. We were on
Yaka.
the same bail during qualification.
Okay.
And I at the time I didn't know Marcus, and he put up, I forget, it was like a 6-13 or something like that. I can't remember exactly what you put that first round. And I was like, oh crap, I gotta step it up here because this guy's pretty much the guy I gotta keep up with.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was good to have that push.
Yeah, and he did in Arizona. Like I beat him on the first round, but on the second round, I dropped probably a good 20 points on that second round in Arizona Cup, and he did not. He lit it up, and he ran with it for the rest of the weekend there. So he did it. He did it for sure.
Yeah, he found it again, here for the Open. So how and you both can chime in on this. How was it up there in that US Open gold medal, live on multiple platforms? Like what tell people what it felt like, what helped you, what do you wish you could have done? I mean, just speak freely. We all watched it. We can go back and watch it anytime. Speak freely about the things that like really helped you and the stuff that affected you, what people should look out for, stuff like that. Use your wisdom to help somebody else right now.
I wish that camera boom was on the right side of the field. That would have worked out great.
Ask Demmer about that conversation. That's come up before.
I picked the platform I pick at Lancaster on purpose. For one, it's to kick the weight off, but the other one is the boom's not right in front of me.
Yeah, and I'm lefty, so I'm staring straight at it, as well as everybody in the stand. So it's hard to kind of block that stuff out, and keep focused on what you're trying to do.
I get to shoot with the lefty a lot because Amy's left-handed and stuff, and I don't know. We usually, while we're shooting and just training, we're usually facing each other. So this was an odd one for me to have him behind me, and I couldn't see what was going on his side of the field. So I'm not saying it was a distraction by any stretch of the imagination, but I do really try to pay attention to the environment. And it was almost like I was kind of sectioned off and I wasn't able to get as much data from what was going on as I would like. Don't know if it was good or bad, but I did notice that I was like, man, I wish you and I were facing each other, because you as a left-handed shooter are used to of staring at a face of a right-handed shooter. It doesn't bother me to look at a left-handed shooter. So I think it would have been a whole lot more fun had we been able to face
Kept
each
you a
other.
little more engaged, kind of in the
I
match.
think, yeah, absolutely. You know, I mean, you and I had a great time shooting at Arizona together. You know, it took us a little bit to figure out who each other were, but once we started shooting, it was like, oh, all right,
right.
this is cool.
And we were face to face there too. So
we were face to face the whole time on that one. So
it's like a love story in the
it is. Are we like on Tinder all of a sudden? What is Barebow Tinder? What is going on?
Not all of Tinder.
Everybody froze a little bit. Yeah, it's lagging for some reason. Maybe there's some. There you are. You're all back. That was funny. I mean, definitely. It's like I think a lot of people, Marcus, probably have the opposite feeling of you because they're not used to shooting with someone in their face, and it probably makes them like a little weird. You know, I have a. I mean, we have a ton of lefties with my group. Maggie's a lefty, my assistant coach is a lefty. There's a whole bunch, so we're constantly all in. And I have to admit, like it does. It's kind of like nice to be able to sit there and have like it's almost like a supportive thing, you know, when you're shooting with somebody that you're used to and they're right there. But I could also see when you're on that platform and you're that far away from someone, you guys don't get to have that feed. You don't feed off of each other. Because we're all pretty supportive. So even if something doesn't happen, you know, I could see how that could have an effect for sure. How about like, you know, just is there anything you would have done different with the clock, dealing with, you know, maybe the emotions a little bit, or just the stress of, did you feel urged? What were you saying to yourself? What were you doing to help you stay in the moment of every shot?
Yeah, I was rushing a lot of my shots, and it wasn't really because of the clock. It was more nervous than clock. But yeah, it wasn't, you know, it was a whole totally new environment, you know? So I went into it just trying to learn, trying to understand what I'm doing, what's happening with me, so that I can learn from it and, you know, be better, you know, next time I get there, you know, hopefully I get there again. But yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to get from it.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, the clock usually isn't an issue for me at all. Like I know what my rhythm is. I know what my shot sequence is. I know how long it takes me to do these things. It wasn't like I felt pressure, but I did get distracted by the clock. I started to focus more on my timing, instead of what my shot process was that got me to the gold medal match.
Sure.
And a lot of people have asked me that since I got back from it. They've seen the video and everything. And it's like, I honestly, I don't think I was nervous about anything. I just got distracted by that clock, and I was more paying attention to time than I was making sure that every part of my shot process is the way it's supposed to be to get the shot off. So yeah, you can call it whatever you want, but
I say that to people when I talk to people about that. They're in the head-to-heads, and I get a lot of feedback. I coach as much, probably not quite as much as you do now, because you're coaching 7 days a week. But people say like, "Oh, I was in this medal match and I was so nervous." I'm like, told them, like, you did all of the hard work is done. All you have to do is shoot a couple arrows now. All of the hard work is done. All of those head-to-heads, all of the qualification arrows, all that stuff is done. Now just enjoy it. Enjoy every arrow. And just a shooter that I'm working with, it's in the Netherlands, was messaging me today. Same thing. And he actually shot well and ended up third. But, you know, he was just like, you know, I said, there's nothing to worry about now. You're in the medal match. The cards land where they are. It is what it is. And it's hard. I think you guys have been in the situation, and all of your practice and the USATs and all that stuff, and probably listening to us almost beat a dead horse about, you know, don't worry about it. Just go after it. It is what it is. But anyway, it's good stuff, man. I'm glad that you guys put on such a good show. It's impressive to watch. I don't want to hold up Demmer too much anymore. He's got to go fishing. So, but I just wanted to say thank you for coming on and job well done. John, you got anything else before you go hit the water again?
Nah, just congratulations to Marcus and Chris. They did good.
They
deserved it
for sure.
And
appreciate you guys.
Back at you,
enjoy that, because it's never a given. You never know if it's going to happen again. But enjoy it, learn from it, and hopefully that gives you a better chance of getting there again.
All right, perfect. Well, you guys have a wonderful night, everyone. Who probably, I want a quick look at YouTube. Let me see how many viewers we have. John, we have 5 watching on YouTube.
Are
right
we
now.
at 4?
We got past 4. We
How
got
many?
to 5, and I think we got to 6 at one point in time.
Woo!
So we got to build up that
Whoa, there we
YouTube
go.
now. We got to build up YouTube viewers. Let's go, people. All right, you guys have a wonderful night. I'm a little jealous of that blue sky behind you there, Chris. What's that, John?
We're just below
one,
Joe
one more
Rogan.
view for everybody.
We're just below Joe Rogan's podcast number.
Yep. Just a little bit. Eat your heart out, Matt Zernzak. We're right below Joe Rogan. All right, you guys have a wonderful night. We'll talk to you later.
You do the same. All right.
See ya.
Yeah, you
See
too,
ya.
Frank.
Yep.
See you guys.
Peace.